Jake Martinez wiped the sweat from his forehead as he worked on the quantum drive. The engine room of the New Horizon was hot and noisy. Sparks flew from his welding tool as he fixed a broken connection. He had been working for 3 hours straight, but the job was almost done. Just a few more minutes, Jake said to himself. He was 28 years old and had been an engineer on the ship for 2 years. He liked fixing things. It made him feel useful. The New Horizon was a research ship. It traveled through space looking for new planets and alien life. The crew was small, only 30 people. They had been away from Earth for 8 months now. Jake finished welding and put his tools away. He was about to leave when alarms started going off. Red lights flashed everywhere. The ship's computer spoke in a calm voice. All crew report to stations. Incoming transmission detected. Jake ran to the main bridge. Captain Lisa Wong was already there, looking worried. She was a tough woman with short black hair. Next to her stood Commander Kate Phillips, the ship's weapons expert. Kate had blonde hair and always looked ready for a fight. "What's happening?" Jake asked. "We're getting a message from somewhere," Captain Wong said. "It's coming from multiple places at once." "That's not normal." Dr. Alan Burke, the ship's alien expert, was working at a computer. He was a thin man with glasses who knew everything about different alien races. "Captain, you need to see this," Dr. Burke said. His voice was shaking. The main screen turned on. A strange symbol appeared. It looked like a blood-red rose with thorns. Then words appeared in perfect English. To the human called Jake Martinez of the vessel New Horizon. By the ancient laws of the Valdorian Empire, Princess Lyralii Voss has chosen you as her eternal mate. You will submit to this bond or face the consequences. The princess approaches with her fleet. Do not resist. Everyone on the bridge stared at Jake. His mouth fell open. "What?" Jake said. "I don't know any princess. I've never even seen a Valdorian before." Captain Wong turned to Dr. Burke. "Alan, tell me about these Valdorians." Dr. Burke's face went pale. "They're bad news, Captain. Very bad news. The Valdorians are an old race. They've been around for thousands of years. They feed on the life energy of other beings. Some people call them space vampires." "Vampires?" Jake said. "Like in the old movies?" "Sort of," Dr. Burke said. "But worse. They don't just drink blood. They can drain the life force right out of you. And they're incredibly powerful. Their ships are grown, not built. They use biotechnology we can barely understand." Commander Phillips checked her weapon systems. "How many ships are we talking about?" "I'm detecting 3 large vessels approaching fast," said Casey Roberts, the communications officer. She was a young woman with red hair. "They'll be here in 1 hour." Captain Wong looked at Jake. "Do you have any idea why they picked you?" Jake shook his head. "I've never left this ship except for supply stops. I've never met any aliens except for those traders on Station 7. And they were just selling fruit." "There must be a reason," Dr. Burke said. "Valdorians don't make random choices. Their princess wouldn't pick a human mate without some purpose." Ben Crawford, the ship's pilot, spoke up from his chair. "Captain, should we run? Our engines are fast, but probably not fast enough to outrun Valdorian ships." "We can't run," Captain Wong said. "If we try to escape and fail, it might make things worse. We need to find out what they want." Jake sat down hard in a chair. This was crazy. Yesterday his biggest worry was fixing a broken air filter. Now some alien vampire princess claimed he was her husband. "What happens if I say no?" Jake asked. Dr. Burke looked uncomfortable. "According to what I know about Valdorian law, refusing a royal marriage bond is considered an insult to their entire empire. They might destroy this ship and everyone on it. And if I say yes, then you become part of Valdorian nobility. But Jake, you need to understand, Valdorians see other races as food. Even if you're married to their princess, you might not live very long." The bridge went quiet. Everyone was thinking about what this meant. Casey looked up from her station. "Captain, we're getting another message." "Put it on screen," Captain Wong ordered. This time, a face appeared. It was beautiful but strange. The woman had pale skin that seemed to glow softly. Her hair was silver-white and her eyes were purple. When she spoke, her voice was musical but cold. "I am Princess Lyralii Voss of the Valdorian Empire. Jake Martinez, you are mine by right of selection. I have watched you from afar and chosen you above all others. My ships will arrive soon. Prepare yourself to meet your princess." The screen went black. Jake stared at where the princess's face had been. She was beautiful, but there was something scary about her too. Her eyes had looked right at him through the screen. "Watched me from afar?" Jake said. "How long has she been spying on us?" "Valdorians have ways of seeing across space," Dr. Burke said. "They use something called cosmic threads. It's like a network that connects all living things." Commander Phillips was checking her weapons again. "Captain, our guns won't do much good against Valdorian ships. Their armor is organic. It heals itself. What about the other ships in this area?" Captain Wong asked. "The nearest Earthship is 6 days away," Ben said. "We're on our own." Jake stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien ships were coming for him. Ships full of creatures that drank life energy. "I need to think," Jake said. "How much time do we have?" 50 minutes now," Casey said. Jake nodded. "I'm going to my quarters. Call me when they arrive." "Jake, wait," Captain Wong said. "We're in this together. Whatever you decide, we'll support you." Jake looked around at his crewmates. These people were his friends. They had shared dangers and good times together. He couldn't let them get hurt because of him. "Thanks, Captain," Jake said. "But this princess picked me, not you. I won't let you all die because of my problem." He left the bridge and walked slowly to his room. His mind was spinning with questions. Why him? What made him special to an alien vampire princess? And most importantly, how could he protect his friends from whatever was coming? In 49 minutes, he would find out. Jake sat on his bed and stared at the wall. His room was small and simple. A bed, a desk, and a small window that showed the stars outside. He had always found the view peaceful. Now those same stars seemed dangerous. The ship's alarm rang again. Jake's door chimed. "Come in," he said. Captain Wong entered with Dr. Burke. Both looked worried. "The Valdorian ships just arrived," Captain Wong said. "They're requesting permission to board." Jake nodded. "I guess I can't hide forever." "Jake, there's something else you should know," Dr. Burke said. "I've been reading more about Valdorian marriage laws. If you're chosen by a princess, it's not just about you. It affects your entire species." "What do you mean?" "If you accept the bond, humans and Valdorians become allies. If you refuse..." Dr. Burke paused. "They might see all humans as enemies." Jake felt a heavy weight in his stomach. "So it's not just about me and this ship. It's about everyone on Earth." "Possibly," Dr. Burke said. "We don't know for sure, but Valdorians think big. They don't do small things." They walked back to the bridge together. Through the main window, Jake could see the Valdorian ships. They looked alive. The hulls curved and pulsed like giant hearts. Dark energy flowed along their surfaces in patterns that hurt to look at. "They're beautiful and terrible," Casey said quietly. Commander Phillips had weapons ready, but everyone knew they were useless. "The princess's ship is asking to dock," she reported. "Let them board," Captain Wong ordered. "But keep shields up around the rest of the ship." "Where should we meet them?" Jake asked. "Conference room," Captain Wong decided. "It's neutral ground." They waited in the conference room. The table was round and could seat 12 people. Jake sat across from the door. His hands were shaking, so he put them under the table. The door opened with a soft hiss. 2 tall figures walked in first. They wore dark armor that seemed to move on its own. Their faces were hidden behind masks that looked like skulls. Then she entered. Princess Lyralii was even more beautiful than on the screen. She was tall and moved like she was dancing. Her dress was deep purple and seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Her silver hair flowed behind her as if she was underwater. But her eyes were what caught Jake's attention. They were purple like jewels, but they held intelligence that was thousands of years old. When she looked at him, Jake felt like she could see into his soul. "Jake Martinez," she said. Her voice was soft but filled the entire room. "Finally, we meet in person." Jake stood up. His mother had taught him to be polite. "Your Highness. Though I have to say, I'm confused about why you picked me." Lyralii smiled. It was a beautiful smile, but it showed teeth that were just a little too sharp. "You may sit," she said. She took the chair across from him. Her guards stood behind her like statues. "I have been watching your species for some time," Lyralii continued. "Humans are interesting. Most races become predictable after a few centuries. But humans continue to surprise." "You've been watching all humans?" Captain Wong asked. "Selected individuals," Lyralii said without looking away from Jake. "Your Jake Martinez caught my attention during the incident at Proxima Station." Jake remembered that. 6 months ago, their ship had stopped for supplies. There had been an accident, a reactor overload that threatened to kill everyone on the station. Jake had figured out how to stop it by rerouting power through the docking bays. "You were there?" Jake asked. "Not physically, but I observed through the cosmic web. I watched you risk your life to save strangers. Humans from 3 different colonies, as well as aliens you had never met. You didn't hesitate." Dr. Burke leaned forward. "Your Highness, if I may ask, why is this important to your people?" Lyralii finally looked at someone else. "Dr. Burke. Yes, I know you too. You have studied my kind." She turned back to Jake. "My people are dying, Jake Martinez." "Dying?" Jake asked. "But you're so powerful." "Power without growth becomes weakness," Lyralii said. "We have lived the same way for 10,000 years. We feed on other races, we take what we need, and we survive. But the galaxy is changing. Our old ways no longer work." She stood and walked to the window. Looking out at her ships, she continued, "The species we have always fed upon are evolving. They develop resistance to our feeding. Some have learned to hide from us. Others fight back in ways that hurt us. So you need new food sources?" Commander Phillips asked, her hand near her weapon. Lyralii turned and smiled at Phillips. "Careful, Commander. I can smell your aggression." Then she looked back at Jake. "Not new food sources. A new way of feeding entirely." "I don't understand," Jake said. "When I observed you, I noticed something unusual. Your life energy is different from other humans. Stronger. More complete." Lyralii moved closer to Jake. "May I show you?" Jake looked at Captain Wong, who nodded slightly. "Okay," Jake said. Lyralii reached out and touched Jake's hand. The moment their skin made contact, Jake felt electricity run up his arm. But it didn't hurt. Instead, he felt more awake than ever before. "Remarkable," Lyralii whispered. Her purple eyes grew brighter. "Most beings lose energy when I touch them. But you give energy without losing any of your own." Dr. Burke was writing notes quickly. "A symbiotic relationship instead of parasitic?" "Exactly," Lyralii said, still holding Jake's hand. "With Jake, I don't need to drain life force. I can share it. And somehow, he becomes stronger too." Jake did feel stronger. His thoughts were clearer, his body felt more alive. It was like drinking coffee, but better. "This could save my entire race," Lyralii said. "But only if Jake agrees to bond with me permanently." "What does that mean exactly?" Jake asked. "Marriage by Valdorian law. You would become my prince consort. Together, we could teach both our species this new way of energy sharing." Jake pulled his hand away gently. The good feeling faded, but didn't disappear completely. "I need to understand something," Jake said. "Do you actually want to marry me, or do you just need me to save your people?" Lyralii was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. "When I first noticed you, it was because of your actions. But as I watched longer, I began to care about what happened to you. When your ship faced danger, I wanted to protect you. When you were sad, I felt sadness too. She sat back down across from him. I have lived for 800 years, Jake Martinez. I have never felt protective of another being before. In your language, I believe you would say, I have feelings for you. Jake stared at her. This incredibly powerful, beautiful, ancient being had feelings for him? Plain old Jake Martinez from Detroit? But you barely know me, Jake said. I have watched you for months. I have seen your kindness, your courage, your humor. I know you better than many couples know each other after years together. That's kind of creepy, Jake said without thinking. Lyralii laughed. It was a sound like silver bells. Yes, I suppose it is. Humans value privacy more than most species. Jake looked around the table at his friends. They were all watching this conversation with fascination and worry. If I say yes, Jake said, what happens to my friends? My ship. They would be under my protection, Lyralii said. No Valdorian would dare harm the companions of a prince consort. And if I say no? Lyralii's expression became sad. Then I return to my people and tell them there is no hope. We continue our old ways until we fade away. And Jake, I would miss you terribly. Jake felt his heart beating faster. This was the strangest day of his life. But looking into Lyralii's ancient, purple eyes, he realized something surprising. He was starting to care about her too. Jake asked for time to think. Princess Lyralii agreed to stay on the New Horizon for 3 days while he made his decision. She brought only 2 guards and seemed genuinely interested in learning about human culture. The first day was awkward. Lyralii followed Jake around as he did his work. She watched him fix a broken air recycler with the curiosity of a child watching a magic trick. Your technology is so different from ours, she said, sitting on a toolbox while Jake worked. We grow our machines. You build yours piece by piece. Growing sounds easier, Jake said, tightening a bolt. Easier, yes. But less flexible. When one of our bioships is damaged, it heals in the same way every time. Your machines can be fixed in many different ways. Jake paused his work. Is that important? More than I realized, Lyralii said. Your solution to the Proxima Station crisis was something no Valdorian would have thought of. We would have followed standard procedures and failed. That afternoon, Jake introduced Lyralii to the crew's daily life. She joined them for lunch in the mess hall. Casey had made spaghetti, which fascinated the princess. You twist the noodles around a fork? Lyralii asked, watching Ben demonstrate. It keeps them from falling off, Ben explained. Lyralii tried it herself. She was very graceful, but spaghetti sauce still got on her chin. She looked embarrassed until Jake laughed kindly and handed her a napkin. Even princesses have trouble with spaghetti, Jake said. In 800 years, I have never eaten food that required such technique, Lyralii said, wiping her chin. But she was smiling. Dr. Burke asked her many questions about Valdorian science. Your bioships fascinate me. How do you make them grow in specific shapes? We use genetic templates passed down for thousands of years, Lyralii explained. Each ship grows according to its design. We cannot change them once growth begins. But what if you need a different kind of ship? Casey asked. Lyralii looked puzzled. Why would we need different ships? The old designs work. Jake and his friends exchanged glances. They were starting to understand something about Valdorians that might be important. On the second day, Jake showed Lyralii the ship's engine room. She was amazed by the quantum drive. You built this to fold space? She asked, running her fingers along the smooth metal. Actually, I helped redesign it, Jake said proudly. The original design worked, but it wasted a lot of energy. I figured out how to make it more efficient. You changed something that already worked? Just because something works doesn't mean it can't work better, Jake said. Lyralii stared at him. This is very human thinking. What do you mean? Valdorians believe in perfection. Once something is perfect, you don't change it. But you humans seem to believe everything can be improved. Jake nodded. My grandfather used to say, "Good enough never is." That evening, Lyralii asked Jake to show her human entertainment. They watched an old movie in Jake's quarters, a comedy about a man trying to impress his girlfriend's parents. Lyralii laughed at the funny parts, but she seemed confused too. The male character makes so many mistakes, she said. Why doesn't he follow a proper plan? That's what makes it funny, Jake explained. He's trying his best, but things keep going wrong in unexpected ways. Humans find chaos amusing? Sometimes. We know that life doesn't always go according to plan. So we learn to laugh when it doesn't. Lyralii was quiet for a while. Then she said, Valdorians do not handle unexpected events well. We have lived so long that we plan for everything. But your species, you seem comfortable with uncertainty. On the third day, everything changed. Jake woke to alarm bells. He ran to the bridge in his pajamas to find everyone in panic. What's happening? Jake asked. More Valdorian ships just arrived, Commander Phillips reported. Big ones. And they're not friendly. The main screen showed 5 massive ships. These were different from Lyralii's elegant vessels. They were dark and angry-looking, with spikes and weapon ports covering their hulls. Princess Lyralii arrived on the bridge, still wearing the simple human clothes Jake had found for her. Her face was pale with worry. My cousin Mortanes, she said quietly. I should have expected this. Who is Mortanes? Captain Wong demanded. Lord Mortanes leads the traditional faction of Valdorian nobility, Lyralii explained. He believes our old ways are sacred. He will not accept change. The communication screen flashed on. A Valdorian male appeared. He looked similar to Lyralii but crueler. His eyes were red instead of purple, and his teeth were definitely fangs. Cousin, he said in a cold voice, you shame our family with this foolishness. Mortanes, Lyralii replied calmly. I act within my rights as a princess. You act like a child playing with food, Mortanes sneered. He looked directly at Jake. Human, you will come aboard my ship. I will test your worthiness properly. What kind of test? Jake asked, though he was pretty sure he didn't want to know. Combat trials. If you survive, perhaps you may serve in our slave ranks. You are not worthy to marry nobility. Now wait just a minute, Jake said, getting angry. I didn't ask for any of this, but I won't be talked to like that. Mortanes laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. The human has spirit. It will make draining his life more enjoyable. You will not touch him, Lyralii said, stepping in front of Jake. You defend this creature against your own blood? Mortanes asked. Sister, you have fallen far. Jake felt something he hadn't expected, anger on behalf of Lyralii. This Lord Mortanes was treating her badly, and Jake didn't like bullies. Hey, Lord Mortanes, Jake called out. You want to test me? Fine. But let's make it interesting. Everyone on the bridge stared at Jake. Lyralii looked terrified. Jake, no, she whispered. What do you propose, human? Mortanes asked, looking amused. A challenge, Jake said. But not your kind of challenge. A problem-solving contest. Mortanes laughed harder. You wish to solve puzzles instead of fighting? How pathetic. Scared you might lose? Jake asked with a grin. The laughter stopped. Mortanes's eyes narrowed dangerously. Explain this contest, he demanded. Jake looked at his friends. Captain Wong nodded encouragingly. Dr. Burke gave him a thumbs up. We both get the same engineering problem, Jake said. First one to solve it wins. If I win, you leave us alone and accept Lyralii's choice. If you win, I'll come with you. And what problem would this be? Mortanes asked. Jake thought quickly. He needed something that would show the difference between human and Valdorian thinking. The New Horizon has a damaged power coupling, Jake said. It was true. He had been planning to fix it next week. We'll both try to repair it. But here's the catch. You can only use materials and tools available on this ship. No Valdorian biotechnology. Mortanes considered this. Very well, human. But when I win, you will die slowly. Deal, Jake said, hoping he wasn't making a huge mistake. Lyralii grabbed Jake's arm. This is madness. Mortanes is brilliant. He has lived for over 1,000 years. Jake looked into her worried purple eyes. Maybe that's his weakness, he said softly. He's been doing things the same way for 1,000 years. Sometimes, being new at something is an advantage. Captain Wong stepped forward. Lord Mortanes, do you accept these terms? I accept, Mortanes said. I will board your pathetic vessel in 1 hour. Prepare to lose your pet human, cousin. The screen went dark. Jake took a deep breath. He had just challenged an ancient alien lord to a contest he might not be able to win. But looking around at his friends and at Lyralii's worried face, he knew he had made the right choice. All right, everyone, Jake said. Let's go look at that power coupling. I need to understand exactly what we're working with. Time to show these ancient aliens what human ingenuity could do. Lord Mortanes arrived exactly 1 hour later. He brought 2 guards who were even more intimidating than Lyralii's. Their armor was blood-red and covered in spikes. They looked like they enjoyed hurting people. Mortanes himself was tall and thin, with pale skin and silver hair like Lyralii. But where she moved with grace, he moved with predatory confidence. His red eyes scanned the New Horizon bridge like he was deciding what to destroy first. This ship is primitive, he said with disgust. How do you survive in such crude conditions? We make do, Captain Wong replied coolly. Jake stepped forward. He had changed into his work clothes and carried his toolkit. Ready for the contest, Lord Mortanes? Mortanes smiled, showing his fangs. More than ready, human. Where is this damaged power coupling? Follow me, Jake said. They walked to the engineering section. The damaged coupling was in a tight space between 2 large machines. Jake had discovered the problem last week. The connection was loose and causing power fluctuations throughout the ship. Dr. Burke had set up monitoring equipment so everyone could watch both contestants work. The crew gathered around screens showing the work area from multiple angles. The rules are simple, Captain Wong announced. Both contestants must repair the coupling using only tools and materials available on this ship. No outside help. First one to complete the repair wins. Mortanes examined the coupling with his hands. Jake noticed the Valdorian's fingers were longer than human fingers and moved in ways that looked uncomfortable. Interesting, Mortanes said. The connection has degraded over time. Poor quality materials, of course. Jake looked at the same coupling. It was a standard connection, designed to be replaced when it wore out. Nothing fancy, but it worked for years before needing attention. Begin when ready, Captain Wong said. Mortanes immediately started pulling components apart with his bare hands. His strength was incredible. He bent metal pieces like they were made of clay. He worked with precision, but Jake noticed something important. The Valdorian Lord was trying to rebuild the coupling exactly as it had been originally designed. Every piece went back in the same position, just newer and stronger. Jake took a different approach. He studied the coupling carefully, tracing the power flow with his fingers. Then he opened his toolkit and began taking measurements. What are you doing? Lyralii asked quietly. Mortanes is already halfway finished. I'm thinking, Jake said without looking up from his work. Mortanes glanced over at Jake and laughed. The human wastes time with planning. True strength requires no planning. Jake ignored the comment and kept working. He had noticed something about the coupling's design. It worked, but it had a weakness. The connection point carried a lot of electrical current through a small area. Over time, this caused heat buildup and eventual failure. Hey, Dr. Burke, Jake called out. Do we have any of those heat sink strips left over from the engine upgrade? I think so. Check storage locker 7. Casey ran to get the strips while Jake continued his analysis. Mortanes was now reassembling the coupling with new components he had somehow created from the old ones. The Valdorian's biotechnology was impressive. His hands seemed to reshape metal at the molecular level. But Jake noticed something else. Mortanes was rebuilding the coupling with the same design flaw that had caused it to fail in the first place. Got the heat sinks, Casey said, returning with several thin metal strips. "Perfect," Jake said. He began modifying the coupling's design. Instead of just replacing the worn parts, he rerouted the power flow through 2 parallel connections. Then he attached the heat sink strips to distribute thermal energy away from the connection points. "What is the human doing?" Mortanes asked, pausing in his work to watch Jake. "Improving the design," Jake said simply. "Improving?" Mortanes looked confused. "The design is standard. It has been used for centuries." "Yeah, but it has a flaw," Jake explained as he worked. "See how all the power goes through this one connection point? That causes heat buildup. Eventually, it fails." "Then you replace it when it fails," Mortanes said, as if this was obvious. "That is how maintenance works." "Or," Jake said, "you fix the design so it doesn't fail as often." Mortanes stared at Jake like he had said something crazy. "You cannot improve perfection." "Who said it was perfect?" Jake asked. "It broke, didn't it?" The Valdorian lord had no answer for that. He went back to his reassembly, but Jake could see he was thinking about what Jake had said. Jake finished his modifications and began testing the connection. His design used more space and required additional components, but it would handle much more power and generate less heat. "Finished," Mortanes announced. He had rebuilt the coupling exactly as it had been originally designed, but with stronger materials. "Finished," Jake said a few minutes later. Dr. Burke ran tests on both repairs. "Both couplings are functional," he announced. Mortanes's repair is stronger than the original. Jake's repair handles 50% more power and generates 70% less heat. "But I finished first," Mortanes said. "The contest was to repair the coupling," Captain Wong said. "Both repairs work. But now we need to decide which repair is better." "Mine is stronger," Mortanes insisted. "Mine will last longer," Jake said. "And it's more efficient." Mortanes looked frustrated. "Strength is all that matters. The strong survive, the weak perish." "If that's true," Jake said, "why are your people dying?" The question hit Mortanes like a punch. His red eyes flashed with anger. "We are not dying. We are eternal." "Princess Lyralii says your old feeding methods aren't working anymore," Jake continued. "Your prey species are evolving resistance. Some are fighting back. Sounds like your strength isn't enough anymore." "Silence!" Mortanes roared. "You know nothing of our struggles." "I know that just being strong didn't help you solve this engineering problem better than me," Jake said calmly. "You're incredibly powerful, Lord Mortanes. You rebuilt that coupling with your bare hands. That's amazing. But you rebuilt it with the same flaw that made it break in the first place." Mortanes looked at the coupling he had repaired, then at Jake's version. "Your people have been the strongest in the galaxy for thousands of years," Jake continued. "But the galaxy is changing. Maybe it's time to try something different." "Different how?" Mortanes asked quietly. Jake looked at Lyralii, who nodded encouragingly. "Partnership instead of domination," Jake said. "Teaching instead of just taking. Adaptation instead of just tradition." "You speak of weakness," Mortanes said, but his voice was less certain than before. "I speak of survival," Jake replied. "My species is young compared to yours. We're not as strong or as advanced. But we're still here because we adapt. When something doesn't work, we try something else." Mortanes was quiet for a long time. Around them, the crew of the New Horizon waited to see what would happen. Finally, Mortanes spoke. "Show me," he said. "Show you what?" Jake asked. "Show me how this partnership would work. Prove that your way is better than our way." Jake looked around at his friends. Captain Wong nodded. Dr. Burke smiled encouragingly. Lyralii's purple eyes were bright with hope. "Okay," Jake said. "But it's going to require something your people haven't done in a long time." "What?" "Trust," Jake said. "You're going to have to trust me, and I'm going to have to trust you. Both of us." Mortanes studied Jake's face for a long moment. "Very well, human. I will try your way. But if it fails—" "If it fails, I'll accept the consequences," Jake said. But I don't think it will fail. Humans and Valdorians together. We could accomplish things neither of us could do alone. For the first time since arriving, Mortanes smiled. It was still a dangerous smile, but there was genuine curiosity in it. This should be interesting, he said.